Hello everyone, my name is Fernando Caballero and this is Pixel and Paper. I'm very honored to have a guest in this channel. So please welcome Vember Judgement.
Hey, how you doing? Greetings and condolences, my precious freaky darlings. How you doing, Fernando?
I'm really happy for you to be here. Thank you for taking your time. And I would like to tell everyone he's a writer, a comic book writer actually. So I'm working, I have the honor, and my brother Mauricio, we have the honor to work with this man. This bro is awesome. I would like to talk about your more recent comic book, Murinae After Midnigt, because it's a comic book very different that everyone has seen. Because there's probably you can see these mice and you can tell, wow, this is for kids, right? For children. But no way. There's very dark, very mature. Actually, maybe you can put some advice, mature only, adults only, because it's very interesting and very crude stories. So I would like to ask you about, first of all, what made you made a comic book writer? What was your inspiration? Maybe you can.
For me, I mean, I grew up in the 80s, and a lot of my favorite comics were coming out at the time, like Daredevil, Batman. And I always liked comics. I always wanted to do comics. And particularly like in the early 90s, one of my favorite comics was Guardians of the Galaxy, big run before Valentino went off to Image. I really liked the way that was written. I'm like, you know what? I want to write comics like that. But I was also inspired by like more mature stuff, like Omaha the Cat Dancer. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, it's an erotic comic book.
Yeah.
I don't have any comic about her, but a very close friend, Miguel Angel Chejavar, my closest friend, he has a lot of Omaha comic books. So I was so excited, and literally because it's very sexy cat.
Yeah, but I loved about the comic was it's like, yes, it was very erotic. It'd be harder to release a comic like that in the mainstream, but it was just so well written that it showed that you could take extreme content and have a good story on it, and it's not just about the sex. Primarily when I was becoming a writer, I like writing horror, and I want to do something that's good, that could be erotic, but have a good story. And that kind of came about how Murinae started.
I remember a movie, a cartoon movie called Nim, The Secret of Nim.
Yes, Secret of Nim.
Do you have any influence? Murinae had some influence about that movie?
Being raised in the 80s, Disney wasn't doing too well with the movies. And then you had this great man called Don Bluth. Don Bluth used to work for Disney. He asked them, I want to make this movie. They said no. So, he went and made the movie. That movie, changed my life. Like, we had, back in the 80s when you had to have different cable boxes, we had this cable station called WHT. And during the day, they would show a lot of cartoons, a lot of anime cartoons also. And when I saw The Secret of Nim, it just, it blew my mind. And pretty much a lot of the stuff that man worked on, was a big inspiration to why I wanted to do The Secret of Nim. Particularly a lot of the stuff, I loved how he drew mice. Secret of Nim, An American Tale. I wanted to do like a mouse story in honor of like his artistic style. And when it came up with Murinae, that pretty much came about from that.
Yeah, great. I remember Secret of Nim is very crude about a mother taking care about her kids. In the field, they're working with machines and they're destroying her home and there's no food. So poor mice, she has got to looking out for food for her children. Here in Murinae, we start something little similar, but the story changed.
Exactly. I wanted to start with something that sounded familiar. I mean, it's like in any animal story, you got the poor mother, kids are starving, they need to survive. So I wanted to kind of get people sucked into like the basics of it, and then suddenly, whoa, what the hell is this? This is not what I was expecting. I wanted to surprise people with this. Maybe we should start with when I came up with the idea for Murinae. Basically, back during the pandemic, at my job, they cut almost all the staff, and then they had me working the floor. And Wall Street during the pandemic was a ghost town. It was like a zombie movie down there. And it gave me a lot of time to think. And I had this idea in the back of my head, like, what if I did a mouth story that's like in a Don Bluth art style, but it would be bloody and be about vampires. So I started coming up with the idea, and I started looking around to see, has anyone done anything like this? And I was very surprised to see that no. It's like they always say it's hard to come up with original ideas, but I was personally surprised that I didn't see anything with vampire mice. Plenty of cartoons with mice, but nobody did anything with vampires. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go from there.
Exactly. Nobody take that topic about vampires. So this changed everything here because there's some factions about rats and mice. Let's gonna see the trailer for Murinae.
How long was I asleep?
You've stumbled onto a very beautiful everything, or a terribly horrible something. Depends on what choices you make next.
So what about the teaser? It's super, super great and exciting. I really like it. And the music. What about the music?
Well, I mean, me, one of my passions is music. And I'm like, someone, like, I remember years ago when I was telling a professional I met at a convention that I like to have music to accompany the comics. And he thought, you know what, man, it's comics. Why would you have music? And I'm like, you know what, why not? It expands the experience. Like one of my all-time favorite comics is called Blue Monday. And the artist-writer, she would write in little notes on the pages mentioning real-life songs that could accompany the page. And I really like that idea. And you know what? I'll probably do the same thing.
Okay, no, well, I really like it a lot. There's so immersive for the action. I would like to know how many comic books have you been writing, where we can find it, where we can find all your comic books.
Well, I already have two that I sell physically. It's on indieplanet.com. The first one, it was called A Girl Like Naira. And it's a story about my first girlfriend in junior high school because I thought it'd make a good story. And I wrote it, and I was like, you know what, I want to find a good artist for it. And I came across this artist by the name of Sander Talk. And I was able to hire him, and he did such a good job that I was like, you know what, I want to rehire this guy. And eventually we started working on my long-term comic, Clear the Streets, which we've been doing for about 7 years. And that one will soon be also available on Indie Planet. And then I have another comic. It's called Deidre of the Twilight Forest. That one I'm hoping people go to see because that's actually has a relation with Murinae. I don't want to say the connection right away, but the comics are actually, they have a connection.
Yeah, there's a secret. There's a secret, and we don't want to spoil it.
That comic was about, it takes place in the far future where humankind no longer runs the earth. The last world war of the planet created real-life vampires, basically creatures that could turn into animals. And the main story is about this young girl. She's only like 12, 13 years old, named Deidre. And she's a werewolf hunter. And right away, that's weird because the werewolves are the most powerful of the animal people. And she could like effortlessly fight them. And the whole story is this whole secret of what she is and involving this plot with these evil vampires.
Well, it's really interesting. I'm going to put all your comic books and in the box of commentaries so everybody can go and click it below so you can read it for free.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cleo The first two seasons is no longer available for free on the internet. I have the first two seasons in digital over on Global Comics. Right now, Global Comics is like where I have everything I ever worked on in digital, including Murinae. In terms of physical, I only have A Girl Like Naira and my Twilight Forest comic. But in another month and a half, I'm going to have my 2 Cleo books and Murinae, the first 3 issues in one book.
Going back to Murinae, would you like to try to make it globally? I mean, not only in English?
Oh, yeah. For the audience, you already know this. I actually did a test of about 3 pages in Japanese because there's some connections that I have through some people in Japan, and I would like to try to sell it there. But I definitely would like to sell it in Spanish, obviously. And recently on Global Comics, I noticed I had a big jump of people from India that checked out Murinae, and I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I'm not very familiar with the Indian comic book market, but I had a sizable audience for that week checking out the comic, and I'm like, maybe I should think about, putting it in Hindu and other languages. But if I can, I want to try to release it. If there's an interest in the country, I'd like to release it in that language if possible.
Great, that's excellent. Everybody can read it without any language problem. Well, here in Mexico, there's a new boom in comic books here in Mexico. Now you can find it indie comic books, and there's a lot of audience there. Also with the comic conventions here in Mexico.
Yeah.
So probably we can have you here in Mexico very
I
soon.
definitely would love to. Yeah.
I would like to have you here.
It's like, being that I live in New York, I have a luxury because we have a lot of places you can get comics. You got Forbidden Planet, you have Midtown Comics.
Midtown Comics. I visited those stores when I went there in the 2000. Wow, for me was like, wow, it's like a dream. Here in Mexico, we didn't have that kind of giant stores.
There's one not too far away from where I work. America has a nice boom for the indie scene, but I think the main problem with America is so much. Because it's like you have like the mainstream comics like Marvel, DC, Image. You got the mid-level companies. Manga in particular, for the last few years, have been making huge business. Like if you go to a major bookstore, they're probably going to have more manga than they would have maybe mainstream American comics.
Exactly. So you have to compete with that really high rate of titles.
But I wouldn't even say compete. It's just like right now, it's like, comics is mostly an adult medium. We have more younger kids reading comics now, but a lot of those kids are really reading the comics published by like major book publishers. But it's like if you're an indie guy, you got to really push it to get the attention, because if it's not, like Murinae would not be something Marvel and DC would publish, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Like it'd be cool if like a company like Image picked it up, but if you don't have a major company behind you, you got to hit the streets, you got to go to conventions, you got to create a buzz. Like with Murinae, one of the first difficulties I have is, like I said earlier, there's not really anything like it on the market, which makes it kind of hard to push.
Exactly.
But more and more people are finding out about it. More and more people are like, you know what? You need to read this comic. And, we're just going to keep pushing it until we can get more attention to the comic.
I'm really sure when people read Murinae, they're going to get shocked. I wanted all the story. I want to know what's going to happen because it's so intense. So, yeah. I'm really surprised, and it's really, really well done.
Yeah, it's like for Murinae, since you had mentioned it earlier, the current plan is digitally I'll release like issues, different parts of the chapters. For publishing, starting with the one that's going to come out soon, it's going to be the first 3 issues in one volume. And the comic's pretty much going to be about 3 volumes.
Great.
Great. Basically about 80 to about 90 pages each. However, I have enough storyline that this can be a trilogy, and I'm hoping we can go all the way. You in particular, you're working on it, and you're already saying what you're saying. I can't wait for you to find out all the crazy stuff that's really coming.
Yeah, exactly. What I really love about the trade paperbacks, with the compilation is that you can put, and I'm sure that you're gonna put it, you can put more artist guests who made a different kind of interpretation, and it's really nice to have that kind of art also included, because there's like a plus for that comic.
Yeah, it's like Mauricio, he did the separate covers for the issues, so of course those are going to be in the book. I'm going to include a lot of guest artists, people I like. You know, I've already sent out a lot of feelers to other artists so they could be involved. I'm going to eventually have the trading card set, which if things go the way I want, hopefully by fall, I could release the first one. It's going to have about like 30 cards.
Great, that's a lot. There's a lot of cards.
You know, like the majority was done by you guys, and a bunch of guest arts, including one recent guest art that the actual art I don't want to show online, and you could only see it in the book. But let's just say it's a little too racy.
Yeah, I know. But it worth it when people came to you and they tell you, you know, your comic book changed my life, or they read something that maybe you were thinking they didn't gonna get it, and they tell you about it, and you get shocked, because I lived it with Comic Book Seraki in 2000 when we were in convention. There was a lot of people so excited buying the comic books or the posters, the trading cards. And they're so excited, like little kids, and they are you're all the same age, and you feel like, oh, thank you, my heart is burning.
That's what I'm hoping for, because like I really want to take the comic to the people, you know, and especially the indies. The best bet is you got to hit the conventions. Maybe you're lucky and you can go viral online, but people want to physically hold the comic. And then it's like when I originally approached Mauricio with Murinae. Because after I came up with the idea, I came across an artist in England by the name of Nick Tate, and he draws in a very similar style to Don Bluth. So I hired him to do a lot of the initial main character designs, and he did a really good job. But then I had a roadblock because he was not as experienced doing comic book pages. I mean, he could, but he makes most of his money just drawing the characters. So I was like, I need to find a really good artist who could do his style. So then I put up some ads online on some Facebook groups for artists. And then one day Mauricio hit me up, and he was like, I'm interested in his comic. And right away I got excited because I saw he was an Eisner nominated artist, and he was really good. But at first I was a little hesitant because I didn't see anything in his artwork that looked like what I wanted Murinae to look like. So, but him being such a good artist, I decided, you know, let me commission him for 3 pages. And, you know, he forget it. He hit it out of the park. I was like, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy. And of course, afterwards, that's when I found out that, you know, he worked in the animation industry, you know. So I was like, okay, it makes sense that he could do the style. Like, he did it perfectly. And originally we were going to do the comic in black and white. But just as we were finishing up the second half of what was originally going to be volume 1, I'm like, you know what? This comic has to be in color. You know, I mostly went in black and white, not for an aesthetic reason, but because printing in color is very expensive. This is only the second comic I produced in color. So, and that's when he says, oh, you know, my brother is a colorist. I said, all right, let's bring him on. And you've been doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. And I'm really honored to be there with you and Mauricio and Nick Tate to make this possible. It's really exciting to work on this kind of art because, you know, I've been working for almost 17, 18 years on animation also. Yeah. So I'm really new coloring comic books. I have like 3 years working on it. And it's really different because when you're in animation, you're like a sandwich. You know why? Because they give you a scene, but you have to do the same work as the guy before you and the guy who's gonna make it after you.
Yeah.
So you have to maintain or have the same style, color style, and you are very limited. And in comic book, you can have more creation. Well, Mauricio made it in black and white, so I had to take grays, the blacks and whites, and turn it in color. It's a different technique. We have never worked in that kind of comic book like this. So that's why your comic book is different for me too. And I'm really excited to work it. So if you can give me permission, maybe we can make a short video showing how I work, one page, or maybe some panels. So
Definitely go for it. I welcome it. I want people to see the process, because like every time I get a new page from Mauricio in black and white, I show it to certain people. They love it. Then when you colorize it, they're like, "Yo, this is what we want to see." Personally, I think the comic would have sold in black and white, but being the influences is like with Don Bluth, if you look at the movies he's worked on and the colors, it needed to be color, and that's why I was very happy that you came on board. And let me tell you, you say you've only been doing this for 3 years. It's like you've been a veteran for longer than that. Let me tell you.
Oh, thank you. Really.
I've seen other colorists that have been doing it for a long time, but you molded your coloring style to this. It's perfect.
Well, I have to say, because Mauricio is my master. I'm older than him, but he's my master, so he has shown me a lot of tricks and techniques, and so I'm really grateful with him. Thank you.
Mauricio has all this talent, and it shows how good he is if he's giving you some of that knowledge and seeing what you're doing with it with only a really small amount of time. It's like, personally, it's amazing you guys don't get more mainstream companies hiring you guys.
Well, here in Mexico, really hard to work in that kind of studios. I have finished working on a Batman movie. Everything is here in Mexico with the Aztec. It's like a what if Batman has been
you're working on that? I know about that. I heard about that. That's cool.
Obviously, I can't show you something because, for confidentiality contract, I can't. Everything, this kind of movie about Warner, they're going to be released in Prime Video, in HBO, different online platforms. But I'm really honored to work on that movie because Batman and Spider-Man are my favorite characters. I don't know what you think. Maybe we can make in this video end. And I don't know if you have any final words for our audience. Maybe you would like to tell something.
I would say this. Right now we have a very, very big indie comics industry right now. There's a lot. I mean, I could sit here and say, listen, come buy my comic. There's a lot of good comics out there. Over the years, I see guys releasing an issue 2 of a good comic. It doesn't get bought, they don't make any more. And that really saddens, the hell out of me. I would say, listen, there's a lot of good original ideas. Definitely buy Murinae, but really go out there, research, look what's out there. There is good stuff out there. If you're one of those types that says, oh, there's no original ideas anymore, you're not doing a good enough job going out there and seeing what's available in the movies, what's available in comics, what's available in novels. We really need more people to go out there and read this stuff because there's great stuff out there. You guys got to check it out.
Great. I'm agree with you. Exactly. Well, Vember Judgement, I'm really, really happy for this chat. I'm really excited. I don't know what more to say, but thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Vember. So guys, if you want to know more about Vember Judgement and all his comic book, please read it. Have the opportunity to know a really talented person. I left you all the links so you can read it, or they can contact you, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, so thank you, and I see you in the next video. See you soon.
Later, guys.